Welcome back, my friends. It is wonderful to have you here. And I just got to let the cat out of the bag. Guess what? This right here is episode number 100 of Family in Focus with Wendy Schofer, MD. So, what are we going to do? We're going to have a big celebration. So, as I'm getting ready to think about moving and all those good things, of course, I'm finding all the things that are in my house, including, yes, this lovely crown. If you are listening to the podcast, you got to come on over to YouTube and see this ridiculous birthday crown that my daughter got. And it might be finally aging here and need a little bit of super glue. But my daughter received this as a birthday gift. I think when she was about 7 years old. It's been a long time. And it's about time I get to wear it. So I'm wearing a crown today. And with this celebration, I'm going back to something that I really need a strong reminder about right now in this moment. And that's about how we got here. Because 100 episodes is a lot. Okay. I'm going to say, just admit it out there, is a lot of work. It is a lot of investment in time and passion and a whole lot of topics. And it's just been a lot since I started in my closet back in June of 2021. And so I'm proud to say that I have escaped the cave of my closet. And let's talk about the steps between there and here. And this is not like dissecting all of the steps. We're going to look at the little steps. So recently we spoke about overwhelm. And if you're wanting to buzz on back there, episode number 98 was about overstimulation and overwhelm. And I have to admit that the me in June of 2021 and before that was completely and utterly overwhelmed with the concept of starting a podcast. All the questions, all the different options, all the different worries, all the fears of what it meant for me to actually be hitting record over and over and over again. And as we speak about overwhelm, I have to acknowledge that there are so many reasons why we can experience this feeling, have this experience of overwhelm. But let me rephrase that. There are a lot of reasons why I do experience overwhelm. That's in the present tense. It is still something that I experience. I know it very well. And whether it's, with the podcast or my clinical work and the constant flow of patients who truly need help now, thinking of all the different options for my family's schedule, the Tetris that I'm playing on Google Calendar, the coordination that's involved there, our upcoming relocation and move, and how the hell are we going to make all of it happen? The flow of just constant social media and news messages and doom and gloom about health and the environment and, well, everything. There is just too much out there. We are being constantly bombarded with information and we're trying to make sense of it. And so we are also having a ton of questions and options and things that are swimming around. And overwhelm comes easily and honestly, and yet it doesn't help us. Let's go back to the coaching model to understand why. When I'm thinking about all the different things that I can do, right now, let's just even think to be healthier. Okay. What is it that I could do to be healthier right now? And I could come up with a very long list of things. I could walk more. I could eat less, okay, of the peanut butter M&Ms. Totally get it. I could get rid of electronics because I know I tend to scroll on social media. Absolutely. And And then I also am like, well, but then where am I going to come up with all of these different ideas and topics and things that I'm going to be talking about, and maybe getting feedback from people about what they're receiving? And then my mind shifts to just all the things that are just wrong. And I look more at, well, look at the pattern of how we've been eating recently, and how, I haven't been moving the way that I really think is healthy and right for my body. And oh my God, the list just gets longer and longer and longer. And that's what's leading to that feeling of overwhelm. It's, this creating a large, mass of concerns or things to do, things to focus on, that our brains are telling us, oh, and that's important, and that's important, and that's important. And ultimately, we feel like we're getting buried, consumed, weighed down by, all these things. And we're being weighed down exactly where we are right now. And so not able to take a step forward. Where do you feel that in your body? Where do you feel that? Okay, I don't know if maybe it's a weight for you. It's often a weight for me that I feel, but I got to tell you, the other way that I feel it is a spinning in my head. I honestly describe this regularly, that I kind of feel like there's a swirl of all the different things going on. I know this feeling. I feel it regularly. But here's a little tidbit. I also know something else, and that's that overwhelm feels like it's necessary. Like I have to know all the things and bring in all of the information in order to what? In order to make a decision, in order to know whatever the quote unquote right answer is, to plan for every possible contingency. Sheesh. Yeah, that's what I keep on going for, like trying to get the perfect plan. The thing is that those things don't exist. There's no perfect world where I can account for all of it, to know it all, to have the right answers. And here I am stuck in this swirl of indecision and overwhelm, thinking that the answers are somewhere out there, that I just have to look harder, do more. That feels heavy just thinking about that right now. And when I feel that overwhelm, I either freeze like a deer in the headlights, or I find myself trying to desperately not feel that overwhelm. And I start moving around like crazy, kind of ping-ponging from one thing to the next. And then I collapse exhausted and just want to eat those lovely peanut butter M&Ms. Yes. But, I find that ping-ponging from one thing to the next is kind of like opening up new tabs on my browser, which I also have a lot of practice doing. And then flipping back and forth between those tabs without actually completing the task. So the tabs stay open. The overwhelm continues. It's a cycle. It's that spinning. Overwhelm does not help me. What about for you? What are you experiencing? How are you thinking that overwhelm is maybe a part of what you need in order to get something done, or you think that it's important? But how is it actually, I don't know, keeping you from what it is that you actually want? What does help you? For me, I'm going to do it again. It's just taking that deep breath. God, I just love taking that deep breath. For one thing, it helps me kind of settle down my nervous system. When I was talking about that spinning, there's also a racing of my heartbeat. And the deep breath helps activate the vagus nerve. So slowing down, slowing down. And it helps me shift one little thing. And that's to ask, what is one thing that I can, that I want to do right now? What is the one thing I want to focus on? What will help just one tiny bit? And that's the little step. The little step focuses on just taking the teeny tiniest movement in the direction that I want to head. And it helps me get out of the flurry of all of the other options. And so, when I describe so much of this flurry and the swirling, I picture a snow globe. Yes, I have one. All right. Right here. And overwhelm is the glitter and the snow, and it's swirling all around. And then I take a breath and I can just feel it. Actually, like the visual for me is I can see that glitter falling. I can feel it shifting downward, kind of like it's doing in my snow globe of Philly. Here we go. And oh, yes. There you go. There's Rocky on the steps of the, what do you call it? The art museum in Philly. So anyway, I can feel that glitter settling. I can also feel my temperature and my heart rate decreasing. And I'm clearing my head to be able to give that opportunity to just make one decision, one little tiny step. And how normal is it that we think that we need to make a big overhaul, the big plan, the intervention, with moving around the world? I'm thinking I got to figure that all out. It is bone crushingly overwhelming to think about all of that. And yet, just what's the one little step? We think we need to make the big plan, the overhaul. That's the lie. All we need is to take one step and then one more step. And so for those that have been around for a while, you know that family in focus is built upon a reminder that's good for both us and for our kids. It's all about one step at a time. It's about sharing the experience, the humanity that, yes, overwhelm comes really freaking easily. It really does. And yet when we spot it, we can start learning the tools to start practicing something different. And I used this just even this past week. So I was practicing in the urgent care office, and there was a 9-year-old girl that came in the distance, she spotted this long list of patients that were checked in. And my God, it was a long list. Sundays in urgent care. It's a popular place to be. And she kind of was like asking me a lot of questions about it. And I said, where do you think I'm focusing? And she scratched her head. And I shared with her, I said, I'm focusing on you and your mom right here, right now. I'm also focusing on having a little bit of fun with you. That list of patients that you see over there, it's going to be there no matter what I do. There's still going to be a long list, but I'm going to see one family, one child right now, and even have some fun. I said, what do you think? And she gave it a moment. And she didn't answer right away. She actually came back to this later on after the visit. And she said, I learned today that you can have some fun at the doctor's office. And so, of course, she's not like talking about overwhelm in one step or focus or anything like that. But she's hearing about, hey, there's a lot of things going on and I can choose. I can take that step. And I got to tell you, it took me a heck of a long time to figure that out too. So when I practice, and it's always a practice because again, I know overwhelm, I've had so much practice with activating those pathways that lead me to overwhelm in my 48 years. I always thought it was necessary and necessary for my success. And yet, when I started practicing focusing on one thing, the little step, the next step, choosing what it is that I want and not being at the mercy of the crushing list of patients or logistics or items on my to-do list, it changes the whole shebang. So I remind myself of that as I shift to thinking about the next 100 episodes. Because again, this is a celebration. And not only am I celebrating what got me here, got us here together, but what is to come. And I can think about the next 100 episodes, but instead, I'm actually going to pump the brakes. I'm going to say, no, that's where overwhelm comes in. I know myself. I know what happens here. I start asking, what am I going to focus on? What tone will I take? Yada, 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 all these things. So instead, I'm going to focus on episode 101. So I will see you then and there. And in the meanwhile, hey, enjoy that celebration with me. All right. Much love. Mwah. I'll see you soon.